Hey guys, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Mick here, hello. That sounds absolutely interstellar, old, new, contemporary, vintage magic. Everything.
Yeah.
You've even got a little tear in your eye.
I do.
He's
It's still
sensitive.
It still gets me. 1961.
Yeah.
1961.
Right, somebody's phone's on just to break the it's probably mine. Go on. One day, I'm going to throw this in the ocean. Never look back. Cool.
Ah, very good.
So
this is going to be fun. We're talking about EL84 amplifiers today.
yeah, which is a bit like, it's a wide subject.
It is.
The title will either say something to do with EL84 output valves, or it will mention the names of the amps we're going to look at. So clearly it's a vast world. Let's put some very brief brackets around this. I'm going to say most amps aren't EL84 amps.
That's correct. I would concur.
Except when you add the Fender Blues Junior and the Vox AC15 into the mix.
Most amps probably are.
Various bass breakers.
Yeah, right.
Lots of other amps down the years are definitely EL84 powered amps. But I guess ever since Blackface Fender, 6V6s, 6L6s in twins, in lots of other Fender amps, EL34s in most Marshalls and derivatives, although there are EL84 Marshalls as well, which are very fine amplifiers.
Yep. The 20-watt Marshall.
Yeah, 2061.
Yeah.
But EL84 really, to most people, means
Vox AC30s or Vox amplifiers.
Caveat, loads of other amp companies do and will continue to use EL84 tubes, but 4 or 2 EL84s configured in a power section, particularly cathode biased.
Yeah.
I don't think we shouldn't go too deep into all of that in this, should we? If you want to know about those terms, read about them on Wikipedia, and I think it is very dangerous to pick one spec of an amplifier and go, oh, it's cathode bias, therefore it sounds like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the whole thing matters.
Yep.
And that's kind of where we are today. So those are all the excuses about why we haven't included every single EL84 amp ever made, and why we're not going to go really deep on spec and theory.
Okay.
Because when you get an amp, what do you get? You get the amp. You get the amp, you get the cab, you've got it, and it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
So we'll just deal with the whole. Is that enough excuses?
I like it. The existential EL84 show.
I'm just trying to fend off all the comments before they happen. Why haven't you got a Morgan amp in today's show? Because we haven't received it yet. We were going to wait, but we haven't received it yet.
Yeah.
So that sets us up for a nice part 2.
There you go.
Why haven't you got a Dr. Z in this ad infinitum? So what we do have is 4 amps, and what we're going to do is start in the obvious place. So many people have said, wow, that 61 AC30 is amazing. Can I make my new AC15 sound anything like it? You right, Dan?
Yeah, no, just I think it's a hilarious. Well, no, it isn't hilarious. It's slightly hilarious, but they are chalk and day.
Just imagine if we had them both there and we could actually find out what was going to happen. So that's part 1. And then what we're going to do is we're going to swap out 2 other amps for the AC15. We've got the new Victory VC35, which is a 4EL84 amp, and we've got Dan's favourite amp in the world ever, bar none, which is the Matchless HC-30 and 2x12 cab. So it's really about listening to them side by side, picking some effects that we think work most appropriately and make some nice noises, and just getting on with it.
Yeah.
So,
the most obvious thing then, AC15 and AC30, the difference between those 2 amplifiers. If we just have a listen, just trade off. So if you just have a schwungage of this.
I will also just caveat to say that there have been many versions of AC15s and 30s over the years. This is a 61, which has been modded with a top boost channel. We are using the normal channel today.
Yep.
And this is a AC15 C1, I think it's called. So it's the
New.
pretty much most recent AC15 with a Celestian greenback speaker. So yes, we're listening to different speakers as well.
Yep.
All of those variables are in the mix, but for what it is, this is what it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you want to...
Cool.
So this is the Vox by itself. Dry.
This one needs to be louder, Daniel.
It does.
What's the word?
Bird?
Chime?
Chime. Ah, okay. Thought we
Yeah.
were going to get into a whole Family Guy. There's some news of an ornithological nature. No, don't!
I mean, that's what I hear. It's a cliche perhaps, and it's what you would expect out of a Vox AC style amp.
Yeah.
It's that high end.
Yeah. Same, when we had the Gretches,
Yeah.
and all of them had that twang. That it's the same thing with the Vox. They've all got that chime, that bell-like chime. It's wonderful. It's why I'm so drawn to that style of amplifier. It's
And
just
it is for that
wonderful.
clean sound. Just stick me on some delay for the Can You, Dan?
Yep.
Don't want to do too much of that, but that's the sound,
Yeah.
isn't it? And there would
It's,
be
and
a
it
bit,
immediately, you immediately recognise
there'd
that.
be a bit more overdrive in it for that. On the subject of which, because we're going to have to, we got 4 amps to listen to. So the next question is, what do they sound like when they're overdriving?
Okay.
We can get the 15 overdriving quite easily because it has a master volume setup. The 30 is going to be a bit harder. You know what we haven't done? Wow,
As if by magic.
the dB meter's just appeared. That would probably be useful at this point. Yeah, so really easy to drive the 15. If you stick the 15 on for a minute. Now, we don't have pictures of the top panel. You're going to have to take our word for it. Currently, the gain and the master volume are both in their up position, 12 o'clock. And there's no tone control on the normal channel of the AC15 other than the master tone cut.
Right.
So I'm going to show you the difference in high headroom master, low input, and then the opposite of that.
Okay.
So one benefit of the AC15 is that you can turn it right down to bedroom level where it's not even hurting our vocal mics whatsoever. This is you can see by the dB meter that it's really quiet, right? 75 dB. And then we can turn it up from there. Okay, good job Fraser's manning the input gain on the mics there, because what you heard was 75 dB with the gain, the input gain maxed all the way out for the maximum amount of overdrive. And then what was right at the end was everything on 10. So that was that absolutely flat out.
Was that everything on 10?
That was flat out.
Wow.
Okay, and the maximum we managed to hit on the dB meter was 101 dB.
Oh, okay.
Because what's happening?
So the output stage, it can no longer handle the input and it starts to clip.
And then we start getting all that stuff that people love about small amps cranked. The two EL84 power tubes overdriving, and the front end's overdriving, the whole amp's overdriving, and it's a lovely, squashy, melty mess. Isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So to do that in the AC30 is going to hurt. So let's do it anyway. Because there's no master volume in the AC30, right?
Correct.
Go.
Okay.
Have a guess what the dB meter was saying.
The same?
Virtually no difference.
No way.
Yeah, so from, just to explain what happened there, and again, sorry we don't have an amp cam, the master volume went from about 10 o'clock, which was that very open, very punchy kind of sound, and then I turned it all the way around to 10. I don't want to leave it too long on 10 because I don't know if it'll go that long on 10.
Speakers are hurting.
Full out, and I think we managed to get 102.
Okay. Wow.
So as far as the dB meter is concerned, now what you might say is the AC15 is a little closer to the dB meter. So
right,
let's not consider that too scientific an
it
experiment.
did. I mean, it definitely felt louder and bigger here, but not
a lot more bottom end.
A lot more bottom end.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not a huge amount of difference there. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Not as scrappy sounding as the AC15, I would say.
Yeah.
Had more kind of authority in the drive, was sweeter, I thought.
Yeah.
I'm not sure there's too much more to say. We haven't spoken about any pedals. Perhaps what we should do is just set them on both on the point of breakup and pick an overdrive.
Well, let's stick a Beano booster in front of it. So
and then see what happens.
Yeah, this is a really good demonstration of why the Beano was so loved with these sort of amplifiers, because you can get these amplifiers. I mean, it's not crazy loud, right? It's not hurty loud. So with these amps turned up, to get any sort of boost into them, because they are compressing and everything's hitting the rails, the treble booster sort of cuts through those frequencies. As you know, as we've said it 1,000 times before, I'm going to make a prediction. That's going to sound amazing.
That's why I picked it up. I'm sort of hoping that it might sound okay.
Okay. So we're going to do the same thing and turn the...
Just going to leave them where they are for the time being. So the amps are sort of set, you know, they're both set to where they're just breaking up.
Oh, okay, yep,
so let's see if they need to be pushed a bit more, I'll get up and do that. So this has got a completely different mid-range character.
Yeah.
Fuller in the bottom end.
Yeah.
But that sounds great.
Oh yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
15 whatsoever.
Can I just turn that up a little bit so it's breaking up a hair more?
This one?
That one, yep.
Go on then.
Yeah, right.
So what's interesting about that, so that's carved away some bottom end and is pushing the mids, and we've got another 2 dB.
Oh, right.
So we're crazy loud now, right? It's just ridiculously crazy loud, this kind of volume that very few people can play at anymore, and certainly definitely not at home. But that's the sound, right?
Yeah.
That is the sound. Interesting, that really mid-push thing. The bigness of the 30 is a different. It's a whole different world, isn't it? Yes, they're blues. Yes, they're old blues. Yes, it's a 2x12. There's all of that. There's all of that in the mix. But that's an interesting comparison nonetheless. Right. Hear the transformer in the AC 105 apparently then, according to Simon. Hear the transformer in the AC.
Just there's cone cry, there's cone scream.
Yeah.
That was just as unreal.
All right, we're not going to do that for too long because it is insanely loud.
Just have to do this once, okay? Just once. You go. No, I want to hear this. What I 6?
It's a sound.
Oh man.
Fraser, apologies for all the volume jumps.
Oh boy, that is
okay. So I think what we've said is there's a real magic in that old amp. I'd get really bored of all that cone cry and transformer harmonics and everything that's happening. Definitely, I mean, imagine if you've got a track and you're recording, what a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing. But the 15 was much more together.
Yeah.
Much more kind of harmonically in one place.
Sure.
But man, that
It's really magic. Yeah. Wow.
So let's move forward then. And so what happens? Late 50s, these amps come out. They get changed radically all the way through. In the 70s, they just kind of, who knows what was going on then. Transistor stuff, weirdness.
Different speakers, yeah.
80s, weirdness. And then what happens was they reissued it. Eventually, they reissued it. I think they were built by Marshall. I think they were built at the Marshall factory.
Right, wow.
The reissues. Non-master volume. So same as the old ones, kind of, ostensibly. And that sort of went hand in hand with what was happening definitely in the early 90s.
Right.
They were definitely there during the Britpop thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of rebirthed, and that re-interest in the old AC30s was sort of rekindled. Clearly, it had always been there by people who'd loved them, but they kind of definitely went in and out of fashion. And then come the end of the 90s into the 2000s, Vox really gets its act together. Much more impetus to do old and new things. And then these come out, which are the sort of master volume versions thereof. And I have to say, I think we don't have the very newest ones, but this generation, the C1 and the C2 and the C2X, which is the 212 with the blue speakers.
How do you remember this stuff?
When you make a mistake, I mean, they might be CC, but when you make a mistake in a magazine and they print 60,000 copies of it,
Okay.
and it comes back to haunt you 60,000 times,
Right.
you sort of get used to trying to remember things, and then when you haven't done that for 10 years, then things start going fuzzy again. But yeah. Anyway, so and then I happen to think that that generation with the master volume, I think they might have been called custom, or they might be called classic. Can't really remember. I think they were brilliant amps, really brilliant amps, and that one in particular, that generation of them, arguably more usable than that, but not as sweet.
Yeah, it doesn't have the headroom.
It's only half the power, remember?
So only half the power. So the interesting thing about the AC30, so if you remember the sound at the start of the show, that cream, crystalline, beautiful thing, was that amplifier, but turned down. So with it turned down, we're reducing the power of the output valves, and it has headroom enough to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
But that sound, when it's turned up, is...
It's Brian May, it's Rory Gallagher.
It's all that, exactly.
You know, it's a very specific mid-range.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So what happens then? Early 90s. Along comes...
Bananarama.
So much of their stuff was sung in unison.
Really?
Yeah, listen
the
to
harmonies are accidental.
No, there are definitely harmonies in the choruses, but if you listen to some, and I just wonder, it was definitely a sound.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow, they're singing in unison. Could we at least have one harmony here somewhere? There were in the choruses. Anyway, Matchless comes along.
Yes.
Really important, because Matchless essentially, in the eyes of many, rebirthed, or in fact birthed, not rebirthed, the boutique amp scene. And said, hey, well, you know what, these old amps that we really like, and, you know, clearly Dumble had been doing it, Mesa Boogie had been doing it to a certain extent, Ken Fisher and Trainwreck and all of that. It's not only Matchless, but Matchless was probably the brand that sort of encapsulated the whole thing.
Yeah, that's nice.
And particularly with the DC-30 that came along, I think, in the early 90s. And what Matchless said was, well, you know what, if we build this amp properly, point-to-point wire it, use all NOS stuff, overspec it, then it's a different thing. It's kind of more like the original ones in a way, but it's it's the beginning of the boutique amp craze. So we've got one of those we're going to listen to. And then following that, boutique amps just went boom. I should mention Mike Soldano as well in the boutique amps boom. And there are many others, right? So it's not just Matchless, but Matchless are really significant in that point in history. And then, of course, the boutique amp goes, and who comes along? Dr. Z, Bad Cat after Matchless.
Yep.
I mean, just list them off. Morgan, I mean, latterly, Morgan, all the boutique amp brands. There's loads of them which are evading us. There's probably most of them back there. Some of them. And they're crazy expensive, right? So then in the mid-market, blah, blah, blah. And that's how it develops, and that's why we like boutique amps so much. So we've got 2 amps, one of which is very boutique, it's the Matchless, and we've got one which is not boutique, but are inspired by the AC series amps, and then do different things too.
Like a lot of boutique stuff, the DC-30. So Phil Jamison, who built that amplifier, built Dave Gregory's
amplifier.
Built Dave Gregory's 94.
Yeah.
So he's been there all that time, and basically they're repairing AC30s.
Right.
And they'd have, because they were really popular with country guys.
Yeah. Brad Paisley.
It's his
favourite amp.
Yep. But when you tool them, like any old stuff, they go wrong.
I went to see, I can't remember who it was. It was someone like Snow Patrol, but it wasn't Snow Patrol. Another Manchester, or at least a Manchester band, and they were playing somewhere, and I had to go and interview them. And he had 3 lined up.
Right. Just in case.
Of the reissues, yeah.
Right.
And, during the night, that one goes.
Right.
Something to do with the shared cathode resistor across all the power tubes or something like that.
Right.
Something like that. I don't know.
Well, there's an interesting thing about that. Just quickly, the original AC30 has a 50 ohm cathode resistor, but when that came out, the valves were Mullards. Amazing quality valves that could take the current, but the new valves can't. So you put new valves in that with a 50 ohm cathode bias resistor, and they burn out a lot quicker. So the 80 ohms, a lot of the new amplifiers have an 80 ohm cathode resistor that works better with the new valves.
Huh.
I've got a switch in that goes, because I've got some old Mullards. So when I put the old Mullards in, I go to 50.
Cue 1,000 comments going, please can we hear that? So there's a tweaky show for one day. But the interesting thing about Matchless is they were started off repairing Vox AC30s and thinking that there's obvious issues here. Wow, we could fix this.
We can fix this. And when you look inside at how they're made, it's like they're expensive, and I can't see how they're not more expensive. As someone who employs people to do work,
to make stuff,
and to do things properly is expensive. Man, it is unbelievable. Like a lot of the amplifiers that we use, the 2-rock and stuff. When you see it done like that, I mean, it's a work of art.
I think the irony of that situation is if you talk about anyone who builds amps on a modern production level, they look inside it and go, "Wow, this is horrific."
Right. Okay.
Because it's not doable on a big scale.
Sure.
It's over expensive, and the chance of failure is so high because you've got a human soldering a joint.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Interesting.
Anyway,
but
that's another world.
That all the experience that went into fixing these AC30s on the road went into the DC30, and the rest
robust.
Is
Okay, we will get to the
robust.
DC30 HC30 soon, but first another amp swap.
Nice.
I can't click my thumbs with my left hand. Funny, isn't it? Isn't it weird that most of the dexterous stuff you do on the guitar is your weaker hand if you're right-handed?
Right.
So I can't do most stuff with this hand, but I can do fairly complex things. Ever thought about that?
No, I've never thought about that before.
Right.
Now I'll probably never think about anything else. Okay. As you were. Right. So, new amplifier.
Yeah, Simon quite rightly pointed out that the first AC30s were actually EL34.
They were indeed. There was about 30 of them made.
Yeah.
And they changed it because when they went to do the production, you see the way that the back of the amp is designed, the whole amplifier chassis sits on a plate that slides in and out of the cab. And the EL34 valves didn't fit in that. So they had to go down 2 EL34 valves.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't fit. So, because you have a look, there's not a lot of room in there.
If that's true, it's yet another example of everything good in the music world happening by accident.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what happened. They didn't
Really?
fit, so they had to redesign it. and put in the EL84s.
Vox fans, you know what to do. Here's the comment section here. All right, so we're going to race all the way forward here. So this is the newest EL84 Vox-inspired amp out. Mm-hmm. No, we haven't done Morgan. We are going to do Morgan. We don't have one. Yes, we are going to do Dr. Z. We don't have one today. So we're going to follow up with those.
Yeah, Dr. Z, we don't have one.
So this is new. Now, I need to declare an interest here because I have beta tested this.
Oh, cool.
And as regular viewers will know, I have friends at Victory and I help them out with various things. So Understood. Okay, let's just get that said. So I know about this amp.
Right.
It is 4 EL84s. It uses, instead of 2 or 312 AX7s, which you would find, it also uses a pentode in there, which is an EF184.
Okay.
Right. So what's the famous
EF86,
which is what we'll hear in the Matchless in a minute, which is a pentode valve, different from a dual triode, problematic in terms of noise and other things, but makes the real classic sound of some Vox style amps. This
has one in?
No, it's not an EF86. It's an EF84 used as a cathode follower to drive the tone stack.
Oh, okay. I see.
I don't know what that means. But anyway, so there's a point of difference. And as we'll hear, Daniel, come on then. So AC30 is where? Here?
Amp 1.
Amp 1.
Wow.
Quite different mid-range character.
Yeah. It's a much fuller frequency.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's because you think of AC30s as being sort of scoopy, don't you? But actually, the 15 and the Victory are scoopier than.
Yeah.
It's really thick in the mid.
I want to hear it with a bit of colour driver on there. That'll work.
Again, loud. Crazy loud again.
I'm not finding that too loud at all.
I think that's because you're enjoying the
Oh, it's so nice.
enjoying the joy of schwang.
It's this big schwangy hug.
Okay. So the Victory is not cathode biased. It's a mixture of cathode and fixed bias. It's cathode bias.
Is it really?
It's cathode bias in low power mode and it's fixed bias in high power mode, I think.
Right.
Something that Martin was explaining to me.
And that'll give it more headroom.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what else? Yeah, so it's different in that respect. So it's definitely not a straight AC type clone. And I think that there's no doubt that maybe some of the boutique manufacturers, Morgan, Dr. Z, might be closer in that camp.
Sure.
However, so
man, it sounds great.
Bearing in mind the volume issue, which of course, if you can buy an old AC30, buy one and turn it up, but most people can't.
Yeah.
So there's a couple There's a couple interesting controls on this amp, which we'll just delve into a sec. I'll get a strap.
What are you calling that Strat, by the way?
Well, I don't want to call it Blackie because that's Clapton's Strat. And I don't want to call it the black one because that's John Mayer's Strat. So, you know how Billy Gibbons called Pearly Gates was called Pearly Gates because the car they drove to get Pearly Gates was called Pearly Gates, I think, and they exchanged the car, or it broke down or something. It took them a long way.
Okay.
And they'd named the car Pearly Gates, so he named the guitar Pearly Gates, I think is part of the story.
Right.
So I was thinking this could be called Long Wheelbase Ford Transit.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. That is
it
perfect.
transported us safely to our destination where we did the trade. So
Nice.
it could be called Ford Transit.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Love it. Great. Wow.
Okay. So I don't know if Simon can get in on the control panel, but so first off, it's master volume, right? So a bit like the AC15 with the Strat. In fact, Daniel, would you mind? I'll instruct you on what to twist,
Yes.
if that's
yes,
all right.
Of course. Very different experience being this close to the amplifier.
First of all, can I have a tiny bit of reverb, please? Okay. If you turn the gain up to about 10 o'clock and the master to about halfway, turn the bass cut switch on.
Very cool.
We'll hear this in the Matchless. One feature of old Voxes is that once they start to overdrive, the bass gets really high and too much, and it just gets a bit flubby. So the ability to cut the bass is quite important, apparently, to some people.
Yeah.
However, for clean sounds, which we will hear in the Matchless, you want that extra bottom end. So do me a favour, and as we did on the AC15, can you like up the gain and turn the master down and keep the volume about the same? And we'll just see what kind of gain it has in it, bearing in mind these are single coils. Turn the bass cut switch back off. Okay. Then if you get some humbuckers, stay in the same place and then engage the mid kick at some point. So what I was saying about it getting flubby, you can turn the bass, you can cut the bass.
Yeah, I've done that. Cut the bass, put the mid kick in.
Yeah, and then it gets middly, and then if you do what you suggest at that point, I think it's going to be too much with this guitar. So as usual for Victory, it's got a more modern gain
Sure.
sound if you want it. But most amps that sort of go, if you start to go modern with it and you keep the chime
Right.
for the clean, once you get into the overdrive,
It's Fizz City.
it can be.
Yeah.
And some people really love that. So I don't know, maybe there's a bit of old and new. And of course you've got the master volume. So you can play quietly if you want. Okay, another amp swap. Right, add £3,500 to the price of the Victory.
Right. Oh, man. Boy, oh boy. Just.
It brings to mind very many things. So let's just explain what happened. Dan plugged in the master volume, the Matchless. So a DC-30 is a 2-speaker combo version of that amplifier. The HC30 is the head version. And we're plugged into the EF86 channel. Remember we talked about a pentode valve earlier, and EF86 is a pentode, not a dual triode. It's a different kind of preamp valve, has particular gain characteristics. Tends to be a bit higher gain, bit noisier, a specific kind of sound that's important to Vox amps down the history, but very important to this amp.
Very, very important.
So that's what we're hearing there. Secondly, it has a pull master volume. It's one of the few master volume setups that I think sounds truly credible.
Yeah. Yeah.
For a boutique amp. So you pull the master out and you engage the master volume. So when Dan first played, all you were hearing was the amp with no master volume, massive, full, colossal. We then pulled the master, pushed the preamp gain and got the overdrive. And then you kicked on some pedals. But, so everyone says, oh, you know, DC30 just the same as an AC30. It almost couldn't be more different.
No, it's amazing. And when you look at the schematic, they are so close.
Really?
They are so close. Because it was born of AC30s, repairing AC30s. I mean, yes, there are differences, but so interestingly, I do have an EF86 channel in my AC30.
Yeah.
I think when I first
we have to hear it now.
That's. I mean, it's very easy to set up.
Yeah.
But it's not when you hear it, you'll see that isn't what's making all the difference. You know, it's the for me, the first time I ever heard a DC30 was it belonged to Neville. No, it belonged to Robbie McIntosh actually. Right.
It was the first time I ever heard one, and the second time I ever heard one for Robbie was Neville from Guitarist Magazine, who had a green one.
Right.
Early 90s green one, and to this day I still say it's like in my top 5 guitar amplifiers I've ever heard with my own ears.
Sure.
And the thing that blew me away about it was lots of the things that moves me away from Vox, and it was the headroom, the bottom end, the clarity,
sure,
the 3D nature of it.
Yeah.
Because if you just go to the Strat just for a second.
The chime, it's all there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
it's
then if you take some of that away, let's just go for a basic analog delay. Bit of, I don't know, bit of mid type. think you were hearing a Vox style
No.
amp at that point at
Yeah.
all, would you? It's to me, it's in a yes, it's AC30 derived, but it sits in a totally different place.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Just it's a really good example of not just the value, but the sort of component choice. You know, the type of component, like the type of transformer in that, designed to handle all those frequencies, but still not losing the essential character of what we love about the AC30.
It is a well-oiled machine.
It
isn't
really
it, at
is,
that point?
because you hear the one thing that the other amps had that they all sounded great, but because there's the mid-range in that, it's so sweet, but that mid-range, it still has that character.
Yeah, it's different. It's not as focused, is it?
Well, because it has all those other frequencies around it.
Yeah.
You know, but it didn't, those mid-range, it's such a specific sounding mid-range thing as well.
Well, I wonder, if you just grab some humbuckers for 2 seconds before we do the EF86 thing, I wonder if so the other thing the DC30 has, HC30 in this instance has, is this stepped tone control, which is more and more bass, basically.
Yeah,
so
it's a capacitor array that it's basically reducing the size of the capacitor, letting less bottom end frequencies through.
So I'm going to push the amp,
Yep.
take some bottom and top out of it and see what happens to the mid-range, yeah?
Okay, yep.
Just give us a chord of that.
Bloody hell. I have felt that.
Yeah. So we're dealing with different speakers, different cabinet. I mean, the 25-watt greenbacks in that Hughes and Kettner cab, it's your favourite thing we found for it so far, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just wonderful. Same speaker that's in the AC15.
Yes,
Yep.
and actually the same speaker that we mic'd for the Victory amp. So
Right.
the AC15, the Matchless and the Victory, you're hearing the same speaker type. Not necessarily the same cabinet, but the same speaker type. And then this has got Celestian blues, right? Alnico blues.
Yep.
But if you put greenbacks in there now, that marked difference in the tone would still be there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's night and day, chalk and cheese, night and cheese. Right.
Now, quick
Let's
thing on the
finish with the
EF86.
EF86 then, just to finish this off. It is mad, you know, when you hear them side by side like this, when you do a straight A/B test of anything, the differences are colossal. And then let a day or two pass and take one to rehearsal next week. Yeah. And you won't remember. You just sort of tune in. Your brain just tunes in quite quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
To what you're dealing with at that moment.
So we have the same capacitor array scenario in here as we do here. So if you play an E chord for me, and I'll just go through the different.
You put it on the most basic one?
Yeah.
And as an example of what I was talking about before, so I can't even remember. We've heard so many loud guitar sounds today. I don't even know if that sounds different or the same or whatever. What does it actually sound like?
Again, it changes the for me, it changes the mid-range more than anything. But there's the EF86 adds just a different level of sensitivity to the attack.
Yeah.
So you'll hear.
So is it? Are we closer to the Matchless now? Probably not. The Matchless is set at gainy, so let's sort that out. That's pretty much where we were.
So even
it's radically different.
Yeah, completely different. So we're basically using, even though we're plugging the EF86, we're plugging the EF86 into the amplifier. So we're now so close as far as design.
Yeah.
That's like just the design of the amp is concerned. But yeah.
Yeah. And some of it is in the speaker. Some of it in the speaker.
Oh, definitely.
Not the extent to which we are hearing.
Yeah.
All right, this clearly requires a part 2 when we'll introduce Morgan and Dr. Z, I think. But what I was hoping to achieve today, which I think we have achieved today, is going, okay, 4 EL84s in the power section. Yes, it does something, or 2 in the case of the AC15. Yes, there is perhaps a familiar territory in some parts of the way the overdrive happens. Certainly in the way the amps seem to end up being EQ'd and how that manifests through the power section.
Yeah.
There does seem to be a familiar trait there. However, how different were all those amps?
Yeah, it's amazing. It is amazing.
So 2 amps that are AC, very different. 2 amps that are AC derived.
Again.
In part.
Yeah.
That one more than the Victory, to be fair, circuit-wise. Chalk and day.
Yeah. Night and Gorgonzola.
Yeah, and there will be people out there who prefer the AC15, the least expensive amps on test today.
Yeah.
Or at least featuring in this video, and people who literally will not understand in their whole life how an amplifier can be £4,500 in the UK. That's 2 rock money.
Yeah. But it's one of those things, you know, that I've had that AC30 for so long, and I love it dearly, right? It's an incredible amplifier, and it's a piece of history, right? Sounds came out of that changed the world. Amazing. Yeah.
Listen, if you've never done it, listen to some old live Shadows. And you might, a lot of people, Shads fans, I apologise to you at this point, because you know, right? You know. But for anyone who doesn't know, a lot of people think the Shads are a bit twee. Listen to them in the late 50s and early 60s live. Some of those guitar sounds are
banging. Yeah, right.
Cranked AC30, Strat, tape echoes.
Yeah, and the preamp from the tape echo.
Yeah. Just magic guitar tones.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for anyone in the States, the Shadows were kind of like the Ventures but British.
Very good.
Amazing how many people in the States don't know who the Shadows are.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very important amplifier, and I feel very honoured to own that amp.
Yeah. But
when I heard the Matchless, it's like everything... there's nothing missing. There's nothing missing from the AC30, but there are times when it wasn't appropriate. That, you know, just that mid-range or whatever. I was sort of limited to what I could do with it. But there's everything is there, but it has everything I love about the AC30. So it was sort of a no-brainer for me. But it took a while.
Yeah, and when we come to film, I say, Dan, do you want to use anything? No. Should we use it? No.
I just, you know, I think I'm still at that stage. I'm still pinching myself that I have the app.
Yeah.
So, and of course, you know, that will change and we'll get into other things. But, I mean, you can hear just as soon as it turns on, I'm just there. So, yeah,
So the hubris doesn't make any difference. Hand wiring point to point doesn't make any difference. Really careful selection of really serious components. Doesn't make any difference. It's all the same, isn't it? It's all the same. And of course, all the amps sound exactly the same.
Yeah, right.
Right. It's for the forums.
Yeah, brilliant. There you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. I've had an absolute blast.
This is your day, isn't it?
It's been a magic day.
It's Dan World.
Thank you very much. A massive thank you to everyone that's gone to that pedalshowstore.com and grabbed yourself t-shirts or capes or
strings,
yeah, and even a backing track or
We've got new t-shirts actually too. Check this out. And this one has even got stuff on the back which you will have seen through the video, but I'm going to show you again.
Flex, nice. That's such a great design. I love that.
Yeah, so lots of great things in the TPS store. Please buy stuff.
Yes, thank you very much. Also, to our preferred retailers in the UK and Europe is...
Anderson's Music of Guildford in Surrey.
Where...
You can definitely buy Victory and Vox.
Definitely buy Victory and the Vox stuff.
But not Matchless.
Not Matchless.
In fact, we should give a shout out to World Guitars of Stonehouse in Gloucestershire, which is the exclusive UK place where you can buy Matchless. In the UK, in America, they're much more widely available. Yeah. And in Europe.
But that is, again, that's a brand new Matchless. It's not an old one, it's a brand new one. Magic. So it's in Australia.
Pedal Empire of Brisbane, Queensland.
And also a massive thank you to our patrons on Patreon. Guys, thank you so much. We couldn't do it without you. Brilliant. There we go. Have a great week and we'll see you soon. Cheers, guys. Bye.